Welcome to the Q1 2020 Storj Town Hall. I'll begin with a forward-looking statement. This document contains forward-looking statements about our product direction. The development, release, and timing of any features or functionality described for our products remains at the sole discretion of Storj Labs. The information herein is not a commitment to deliver any material, code, or functionality and should not be relied upon in making purchase decisions. Our topics today are Executive Summary, People Ops, Token Governance and Compliance, Tardigrade Ecosystem, an Engineering Update, and Community. We're doing things slightly different this time in that our Q&A section is actually going to be a separate event that will be held in 2 weeks. Every time we have Town Hall, we receive so many great questions that we thought it deserved its own event. Our speakers today are Ben Golub, Executive Chairman, Katherine Johnson, General Counsel, VP of Compliance and People Ops, JT Olio, VP of Engineering, John Gleeson, VP of Operations, and myself, Jocelyn Matthews, I'm Community Manager. We'll start with an executive summary from Ben Golub, Executive Chairman. Ben?
Thank you, Jocelyn, and of course, a big thank you to all the members of our community, all the people who work at Storj for the tremendous work that you've done over the past several months to bring us to this stage. I hope that everybody is staying safe and sane during this COVID crisis. But despite the obviously unprecedented set of issues that we're facing as a world, this has actually been a very good quarter for us as a company. Perhaps nothing more exciting than the fact that after almost 2 years of work, we are now in production. And we're in production with the world's first enterprise-grade decentralized storage service. We went into a pre-production launch mode on January 28th with select customers, and then we opened up the floodgates, if you will, on March 18th, having hit all of our production gates with the ability to offer an SLA, with a large and growing supply network and a large and growing customer network. I'll talk about it in a bit, but we've had exceptional press and inbound interest in the service. We are now live and are signing major partnerships, bringing on board paying customers. Like all companies, we've had to put in place a response plan for COVID-19, which I'll talk about in a bit. And looking forward to 2020, Q2 2020, as you can imagine, now that we have a live service, our major focus is on bringing customers on board to that service and making sure that all customers have a tremendous experience. We are running at enterprise grade and have been running at enterprise grade for quite some time now. We have obviously no intent to see that drop. In fact, we're making continuous improvements in terms of performance, in terms of reliability, in terms of availability, in terms of durability, accelerating our user flows, our connectors and our bindings, and of course, the experience for our storage node operators as well. We're very excited about what we've been seeing and very excited about what the future holds. Of course, in an environment like this, we need to be fluid and adjusting to the world situation, but we think that we're well situated to deal with whatever comes our way. Let me speak a little bit about what it means to be enterprise grade. As you know, if you're running a storage service, it is critical that people be able to store their data securely, store it easily, always be able to retrieve it, and never have to worry about security, never have to worry about getting at their data. We're very excited that over the course of nearly 9 months, as we went from our first beta in August of 2019 all the way through to our Voyager launch, we've seen continuous improvement across all of our metrics and have now passed all of the gates that are necessary to go into production. That includes 100% durability. We've lost no files since we went into one of our early alphas before August. We're now achieving 99.97% availability, and that means the ability for an individual to download a file on their first try. So all but 3 times out of 1,000, the first time you try and get your file, you'll get your file. Our upload and download speeds are on par with AWS. In some cases, we're faster. In some cases, we're slightly slower. Just as explanation for what we mean by 95th percentile, we, in testing, generally test 500 or 1,000 downloads from various locations. What this means is that out of 1,000 attempts to upload, all but 50 will be at 2.14 seconds or faster, and similarly, all but 50 will be at 1.64 seconds or faster for download. We've got a great set of active nodes, now over 6,200 in over 85 countries with very low churn. And our network capacity now is over 20 petabytes. With results like that, we felt it was time to tell the world. So even though course, the world is more concerned these days with the global situation. We nevertheless were very excited by the reaction that we got from the industry. Great coverage. Here are some of the articles that are listed. As you can see, we were covered in business magazines like Forbes, in general IT magazines, publications like TechCrunch and Storj specific publications like TechTarget, and of course, a nice coverage within the crypto community as well. Of course, we were excited by the launch itself, but even more excited by what we've seen since the launch. Tremendous growth in our network. As I mentioned, now over 6,200 node operators in 85 countries. We've also seen great growth in the number of users. We've now got over 5,000 users running over 1,500 projects, and significant inbound interest from partners, POCs, and potential customers that John Gleeson will be talking about in a bit. Also really very gratified that as we went into production and into our launch, we had great reference customers and partners like Flurry, Connected, and FileZilla speaking about their experiences with the Storj network and what they were able to achieve. Like all companies, of course, we are trying to understand what the COVID-19 situation means for us, for our customers, for our company. We've done a technical implementation plan on the customer and community side. Fortunately, we are a decentralized service and we are a decentralized company. So there's been very little technical difference for us operating pre and post quarantine and stay-at-home orders. We're already highly decentralized, so no major hookups. We stayed the course on our decision to launch. And while we saw some of our large proof of concept partners ask for a few extra weeks in order to implement as they dealt with higher priority items, that was balanced out by seeing significant inbound interest. We've made some sensible changes to our budget, but ultimately we think that we're in a very strong position financially to deal with this. We expect to end 2020 even with a more modest set of revenue expectations, with a runway that should exceed over 2 years. And that's testament to our strong treasury position and the fact that we've managed our cash and our expenses very well. Looking more broadly, though, what does something like this mean for a company like Storj and a community like Storj? I think that we're in a very strong position. From all signs, the business environment still appears very strong, if not stronger, for cloud services and cloud storage. And what we know looking through history is that great disruptive businesses are often forged in the crucible of economic downturns. You only need to look at VMware and Salesforce or AWS in 2008 to see that in tough economic times, often customers are more motivated to try new and disruptive services. And even thinking more broadly than that, I think that we as a world have seen over the past month the power of decentralized networks. Over the course of really 1 to 2 weeks, massive amounts of people across the world started just doing distance learning, working in a distance way. And of course, the internet, for the most part, did not hiccup. Because the internet itself is decentralized, the internet was able to handle massive increases in traffic and video. And that's really a testament to what decentralization can do. As a company, we also want to make sure that we're being good corporate citizens. And so very excited to announce that we have launched a free storage program for nonprofits, hospitals, and other organizations who are doing research on COVID. For more details, go to the website. And finally, I'd like to say to everybody, of course, please stay safe. We're all in this together, and I know that we'll get through that.
Next up, we have People Ops, Token Governance, and Compliance with Katherine Johnson. Katherine's our General Counsel, VP of Compliance and People Ops.
So typically at this point in the town hall, I provide a summary of the token flows report, which we publish on our blog quarterly. But today I'm going to put on my VP of People Ops hat and also discuss how we are handling the COVID-19 pandemic from an HR perspective. So as you may know, we have offices in Atlanta and Salt Lake City. In addition, we have some employees who operate out of WeWork spaces and other locations. Employees who have access to those office locations also have had the option to work from home. Most of our international employees already work from home. We're used to video conferences and working across time zones. For this reason, the transition from office to home for work was easier for us than most. For the safety of our employees, we asked that they work from home before most stay-at-home orders were in place. Storj has a truly outstanding team. We recognize that people are our greatest asset. So when the pandemic hit and lives were disrupted, we wanted to reach out to ensure the health, safety, and wellness of all of our employees. Fortunately, with less than 50 employees, we were able to arrange to meet one-on-one with each of them to check in and see how everyone is doing and what we as a company can do to support them. This has also been a time for us to learn what is working best and ways we can continue to stay connected as we move into this new normal. With regard to providing information on an ongoing basis on the impact of COVID-19, we hold biweekly all-hands meetings and have been communicating through that channel and also via Slack and Confluence to provide various resources and sources of information available to our employees to stay on top of the latest information relating to the virus. As Ben mentioned, we made sensible changes to the budget and reassured our employees at the earliest opportunity that there would be no furloughs, layoffs, or workforce reductions. Some of the budget changes on the people ops side included suspending plans to travel to quarterly all-company meetings, voluntary temporary exec level pay cuts, and salary and bonus freezes across the company. We also scaled back some of our hiring plans for the year. Moving on to our regular quarterly token report. As you know, our quarterly token balances and flows are published on a quarterly basis. They'll be published on our website this week. And at each town hall, we provide highlights from that report, which provides detailed information on the balances and flows of our Storj token holdings. As we mentioned in our last town hall, the SJCX converter was shut down at the end of 2019. With regard to this quarter, Q1, 9.6 million Storj tokens were used for operations, 2.5 million to storage node operators, 5.5 million to third-party providers, and 1.6 million in our salary program. 26.8 million Storj tokens are in our operating reserves, and 245 million Storj tokens remain in our long-term 8-quarter rolling time lockup. The report provides addresses on major reserves so that balances are verifiable, and we'll take a look at those in a moment. With regard to our time lock, as I mentioned, 245 million Storj tokens are in rolling time lock contracts. As we've discussed in prior town halls and in our quarterly written reports, we initially relocked 100% of our time lock tokens every 6 months. During Q1 of 2019, we divided the time lock reserve into 8 equal-sized tranches of 30.6 million tokens that unlock in successive quarters through Q4 2020 and relock, respectively, to the same quarter 2 years later, which I'll go into some detail in a moment. Each tranche unlocks the last day of the quarter. So for those who adhere to the trust but verify approach, we have this slide with the addresses. Each of the 8 tranches has its own address, which is also provided in the written report. We've now had 5 consecutive tranches unlock and relock. The tranche that unlocked in Q1 of 19 was relocked until Q1 21. The tranche that unlocked in Q2 of 19 was relocked until Q2 of 21, and so on and so forth, through the latest tranche, which unlocked at the end of Q1 2020 and has been relocked until Q1 of 2022. In Q4 2019, we reported that we began examining a technical solution that would alleviate the need for time lock tranches. Currently, we are using the same mechanism that we've used in the past, but are exploring different technical mechanisms for doing the rolling locks going forward, potentially using a third-party custody service. The mechanism we select will achieve the technical equivalent of taking tranches that unlock and keeping them out of circulation for an additional 2 years, unless we provide at least 90 days in advance of the lock expiring. The tranche that is unlocking at the end of Q2 of 20 will be relocked until Q2 of 22. However, we plan to not relock the tranche that unlocks in Q3 of 20. This is primarily as a precautionary measure to ensure that we have sufficient operational reserves for the last quarter of this year. It is impossible to accurately forecast the rate of growth of our service, the general crypto markets, and the extent to which our token price will be impacted by global financial.
Thanks, Katherine. Our next speaker is John Gleeson, VP of Operations, here to talk about the Tardigrade ecosystem.
Well, it's great to be able to say the words, "We're in production," and to be able to say that we have a service that offers comparable availability, durability, and performance to the big cloud providers, but with superior privacy, security, and economics. That makes it all the better. I'm going to give a brief update on what we're seeing in terms of adoption of the Tardigrade platform now that we're in production, and also on some of the use cases we're seeing, and in addition, what's going on with storage nodes and some of the new tools in the toolkit. The last thing, I'm really excited to share what's coming this year on the roadmap. So let's start with an update on the Tardigrade platform. As Ben mentioned earlier, we're seeing about 5,000 user registrations so far, and we're still going strong. We're also seeing really strong interest in our partner program. We're working with a wide range of partners in a variety of areas, from hardware and software providers for NAS solutions, app developers, data centers, and systems integrators. The open source partner program is also making really good progress, and that's where we're going to see most of our early traction. We're working with partners on platform integrations and connectors under the open source partner program, and we're going to have a lot of announcements in the next quarter. And speaking of our partner program, the two areas where we're seeing the most interest right now is, of course, the open source partner program, where open source projects that feature software that generates a lot of static data can earn a meaningful share of revenue when the end users of that open source software store that data on the Tardigrade network. We're seeing a lot of very early interest from the open source databases like MongoDB and Influx, tools like FileZilla, as well as the on-premise data storage solutions like Nextcloud, Pydio, and Zenko. In addition, we're seeing a lot of interest from systems integrators and commercial software projects that are particularly interested in white label solutions that leverage default client-side encryption, flexible access management capabilities to allow them to push their security model to the edge. So if you're interested in finding out more about our open source partner program or our technology partners, please check out the partners page on tardigrade.io. One of the things about which we're really excited is the progress on application connectors. Connectors make it easy to use Tardigrade platform with compatible applications. The first three connectors we're announcing this week are QNAP, rclone, and Rustic. For QNAP, we're actually releasing two integrations. One to use your QNAP NAS as a storage node to share unused storage space and bandwidth in exchange for storage token, and a second integration to use our S3 compatible gateway with the included hybrid backup Sync 3 app to back up your QNAP to the Tardigrade cloud. We've also created a native integration for rclone, often referred to as rsync for cloud storage. This connector enables systems administrators to directly map files and directories from their file systems to Tardigrade through a command line tool. rclone has some advantages over the base Tardigrade CLI, not only in the range of different app integrations supported, but also in copying, syncing, and listing directories. Adding rclone to the family of Tardigrade tools brings users a mature cloud storage tool with advanced features for managing their cloud data. Our rclone integration has also enabled the use of Rustic for backups. Rustic is an easy-to-use developer tool for automating backups. Rustic has been widely adopted by systems administrators across the world because of its speed, efficiency, and cross-platform compatibility, and now we've made it compatible with the Tardigrade network. Rustic makes it easy to create a full backup and subsequent snapshots of almost any data on the Tardigrade platform and restore it to any client running Rustic. This includes output of database exports, scheduling, logging, and notification tooling, which enable you to turn data exports of almost any kind directly into snapshots on Tardigrade. In terms of how partners and customers are actually using the Tardigrade platform, we're seeing a lot of use cases in a number of different areas. The early customers and partners are mostly starting with use cases that feature general storage with low frequency retrievals. These include database backups, hybrid cloud backups for data centers and NAS devices, as well as additional cloud storage and backups for mobile devices. The solutions we're seeing for data centers and NAS devices are particularly interesting because they include two different aspects of the platform: cloud storage for on-premise data, and also contributing excess storage to the network to offset cloud storage expenses. In a moment, I'll provide some more detail on the work we're doing with consumer and SMB NAS hardware, as well as some roadmap items that'll make it much easier for data centers and business networks to be commercial storage node operators. Speaking of storage node operators, over 6,100 node operators are sharing more than 20 petabytes of data across 85 countries. We're thrilled to see the high performance and uptime, as well as the consistent increase in long-term storage nodes who have been with the network more than 6, 9, or even a year. We've recently released a new dashboard for the storage nodes and have some great new features in the pipeline. As we did in the run-up to production, we continue to push test data into the network for performance, load, and durability testing. We recently made a shift in how we manage test data, changing from the Stefan Benton R&D satellite to a dedicated load and performance testing satellite. That's the Salt Lake City satellite. We're trying different tests as we anticipate customer use and customer demand. And in addition, we're continuing to use surge payouts to continue that reward for storage node operators as we build paid demand from our customers. In terms of developer tools, we're wrapping up the updates to all the libraries and bindings we support to the production release of the 1.0 version of our Uplink developer library. We've made some huge improvements over the last few months in the run to production. I'm not going to say too much more because JT's demo really showcases just how easy it is to use our platform, along with some of the more differentiated capabilities on the security and access management front. On the storage node side, we've been working on the storage node integrations for a range of different NAS providers. We're just wrapping up the additional ability to back up those same NAS devices to the tardigrade service, providing a full-featured solution that represents both supply and demand. NAS devices make great storage nodes because they have high uptime and are typically already configured for compatible internet access. If you want to learn more, please check out the conversations in the community at forum.storj.io and watch for updates in our documentation. So I'm really excited to share some of the great new features coming this year on the roadmap. Up until we hit our production release, our roadmap has largely consisted of faithfully executing against the blueprint in the V3 white paper for the different peer classes in the network. But now that we have a fully functioning network, we'll be adding features that will help us improve the value and performance of the network, as well as fulfill the wishes of our customers, partners, and community members. Looking at the roadmap from the point of view of the different peer classes and the main audiences, we got some great things planned. For storage node operators, we're adding capabilities to make the job of our individual storage node operators easier and more efficient. Next, we'll be adding in capabilities for management features for our commercial storage node operators to make it easier to create, run, and manage multiple storage nodes at the same time. As we get later in the year, there are features for all of our storage node operators, but particularly those who want to be able to change how much space they share over time as their data needs change. For developers, we're really focused on the developer experience in the first half of the year, making sure it's as easy as possible to integrate decentralized cloud storage into applications and to build application connectors for our partners. Throughout the year, we'll be focusing more on differentiated capabilities related to security and access management, and then looking forward to broadening the number and different types of use cases we support it as we look forward to 2021. On the satellite side, we still have some opportunities to enhance the general scalability and efficiency of the application. But as we move through the year, we're really going to continue to focus on that developer experience and then continue to expand the number of use cases we support. Just a couple of highlights here for you. Some key highlights on the roadmap for the storage node operators include NAS support for a wide range of NAS devices, a Linux installer, node dashboard authentication to make it easier to secure your dashboard and access it from anywhere, a multiple node dashboard, which is great for people running storage nodes in data centers or larger orientations, a simplified graceful exit and partial graceful exit, and also a mobile app to go with the Snow dashboard. So we'll have both the snowboard and the Snow Mobile or snowmobile. Some key highlights in the roadmap for the uplink client include NAS support, back-ending it to the cloud for backing up your NAS, a mobile app for reference implementation, enabling multiple project support and some billing enhancements, and of course, enhancements to the access management features for file sharing. We'll continue to deliver more and more flexible APIs for developers as well to continue to make it easier to integrate. Of course, with the satellite side, a node downtime, disqualification, and some performance improvements with distributed tracing are probably the first things out of the gate, but we'll also see significant database improvements in terms of performance, as well as some additional administrative APIs. And of course, towards the end of the year, satellite metadata portability to be able to migrate from one satellite to another. If you want, you can see all the details, or you can check out our roadmap online. But enough talking about the product. I think JT's demo is really what's going to let the product sing.
Thank you, John. Next, we have JT Olio, VP of Engineering, to give the engineering update.
Thank you, Jocelyn. For a brief engineering update, the major thing that we're going to be working on in 2020, our major goal is achieving what you just saw. Obviously, we're in production, but even though we've launched, we still have, as you saw, a lot to do. We have 7 teams focused on, 7 dev teams focused on nailing and scaling this product. So for 2020, we will be heavily emphasizing documentation, outreach, and connection to other tools and systems. We absolutely want to embrace users and developers where they are and be able to support them and their needs. If you have a language or a tool we don't yet support, we are eager to help you support it, integrate it, or market it. And you don't need to code to help. We'd love improved examples and documentation. If you have tutorials and just content you'd like to write, we'll even market your blog posts. So that's the major goal is just continuing to build what we have and build upon what we have. So that's it for the engineering update.
Thanks for that update, JT. I heard that you also have a live demo. Can you tell me what it's going to cover?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jocelyn. The live demo uses Go, but we have similar language support for multiple languages.
Great, let's take a look at that now.
Hi, I'm JT Olio, VP of Engineering, Storj Labs. And for this part of the town hall, I wanted to show you briefly a live coding demo of how you can use the Tardigrade network in your own Go programs. We're really proud of what we've built, and we think it's really exciting, easy, and simple to use, and we just want to demonstrate it by sort of walking the walk here. You can make an account on tardigrade.io if you don't already have one, but if you have one, I've already made a demo account for this purpose. There are a lot of excellent tutorials on things you can do with Tardigrade on our YouTube channel if you'd like to see more information and more help setting up your account. But the first step always is to create an API key. So we're going to make an API key for this demo. The next step is in a previous video, actually on our YouTube channel, I talked a little bit about end-to-end encryption. And one thing that we have right now is we don't deal with your encryption keys in our web interface. And so the first step is taking an API key and turning it into what we call an access grant. And so we'll be making an access grant with the uplink tool. So right now my uplink isn't set up. I'm going to run setup with the uplink. I'm setting up with US Central. My access grant name is default. I'm going to use this API key. And I'm going to enter in an encryption passphrase. I'm not entering this into the web browser so that the central satellite, the Tardigrade US Central satellite, doesn't have access to my encryption information. So okay, so now I have no buckets. I'm going to make a bucket real quick. I'm going to call it videos. So I now have a videos bucket, and then I'm going to share that bucket with a Go program that I'm about to write. So we will share the videos bucket. This is my access grant for this bucket. So we're going to put this into a Go program. Let's see, I'll make a folder here called demo. Inside demo, I'll make a document called main.go. We will define the access grant. Okay. The next step is to define a main method. I have one defined already. I'm going to start actually copying and pasting a lot of code for this demo so that you're not watching me just type things. The main method here just handles some basic bookkeeping. But the next step that we're going to do is parse this access grant. So step one off the bat is to parse the access grant. And this will give us an access grant for our uplink library to use when opening a project. The next step is to actually open a project and then make sure that we close it when we're done. Lastly, we're going to make a small web interface that shows files. So we're going to make a server type with a listener mux, and we're going to serve it over the network. So we have to define what this listener mux is. Okay, so we'll start off and just say hello world. We use Go modules heavily, so all you need to do is run Go main after importing storj.io/uplink, and the Go module system will actually go and download everything that you need if you've initialized your Go module. We'll try this out. Hello world is what it said. Oh, I did not do. Hello world. So we have a working web server here. What we're going to do is we're going to list files that are in the videos bucket. So the bucket that we care about here that I made is videos. And I'm going to make this root endpoint list all of the files that we have in the bucket. And of course, to make that work a little bit better, I've already created a little bit of HTML for this purpose. Okay, so we are going to first list all of the objects in the bucket. We're going to make a context. We're going to make an iterator from the uplink project. List objects. We're going to give it the bucket. We're going to give it some uplink options. Oh, we don't need that. And then we're going to step through the iterator. We need a place to add all of these paths that we're about to list. And then we need to check if there was an error. And then we're going to execute this page template. All right, let's try it. Oops, typos. Live coding. We don't have any files listed, but we did get this form element that I posted. So let's make a way to upload files. So the next thing we're going to do is add an upload target. We're going to make an upload method. We're going to stream the data straight from the upload into Go. And so the way to do that is into the uplink library. And so the way to do that is to create a multi-part reader. To help myself out a little bit, I'm going to make an error handling function. We'll replace this one here. This upload method, we're going to make a multi-part reader. We're going to loop through the multi-part responses, looking for the form element that's called file. Once we have the form element that's called file, we're going to call upload object on the uplink library. Upload object right here. We're going to give it the file name that was uploaded. Then what we're going to do is copy the data in and commit the object and close the multi-part reader. So what this is going to do is it's going to find the file that we have in the HTTP form file. It's going to store it into the upload object method of the uplink library, copying in the data and committing it. So let's try this. So I'm going to choose a file here. I'm going to upload this video called status.mp4. This is uploading to the live network. You should be able to copy and run all of this code yourself and have all of this work. So now we have status.mp4. The last step for this live demo is we want to be able to serve this data. So this link goes to a serve endpoint that we need to create. Okay, so what we're going to do for serving is we're going to, this is maybe the easiest thing of all. Most of this code here is dealing with multi-part form handling. The uploading was actually fairly straightforward. For downloading, it's even easier. First we get the context. Then we get the object from the project, download object, context bucket r.url.path. Make sure to close the object. Now there's a way to get byte range requests working, but for the brevity of this live coding demo, I'm simply going to use io.copy. Keep in mind that if you want to support ranged reads, there's a little bit more you have to do there, but this is all we're going to do for now. So we'll run this. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I did a period instead of a comma. Typos. Okay, so now we're going to reload this. We're going to click status.mp4, and this is playing right out of the network. Thank you for joining me for this live coding demo. We're really excited about what we've built with the storage library, the uplink library, and the Tardigrade network. It's really exciting to sort of see all of this stuff come to fruition. We hope you find as much success as we've had, or more. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.
Hi, this is your host, Jocelyn Matthews. I'm also the community manager at Storj. It's a really exciting time to be at the company now. We've had a fantastic and healthy community for a long time, and we're starting to see more people come in on both the snow and the developer sides. We've been super fortunate in the great people we have in this community. Snows are the backbone of our platform, our longest, most enthusiastic supporters, and we're pushing hard to get lots of lovely customers, developers, and partners in here to join us and generate revenue growth for Snows. Your success is our success, and we never forget that. Here are some activities that you'll be seeing as the next quarter rolls out. They're open to everybody, whether you're a developer, Snow, friend, neighbor, or just someone who's curious. For upcoming events, we'll be speaking at Python Pizza on April 25th, and the topic is Python bindings for a decentralized cloud object storage system. We're also speaking at InfluxDB Days, which is happening in June. That's a virtual event. It's moved online, and we'll be posting details about that as it develops in the forum. One really exciting event series that's coming up is going to be a series of hackathons that will be, again, coming to the forum. Anyone can participate. There will be prizes, and we are super excited about where this is going. I think that we're really going to see people shine and see some really exciting developments that will come up out of it. If you know projects or communities that we should be collaborating with, please ping me. I'd love to talk more with other communities, especially ones that are dev-focused, because we're trying to get as many opportunities as we can to get our product into the hands of engineers. I think once people have a chance to try it out, they love it, and that's what we're looking to spread. Every time we do Town Hall, it seems like we get more questions. So this time we're breaking them out into a separate event that will be held in 2 weeks. To submit a question or register for the Q&A event, please check out the forum and keep an eye on your inbox. I said earlier that the community is the backbone of our project. We're looking for community-generated bindings and connectors with bounties attached. If you have something that you'd like to pitch in on, or an idea for something that we should be doing, please let us know. We've moved feature requests fully into the community forum. If you have a request, a suggestion, or just a great idea, you can submit it there and others can vote on it. The ideas are reviewed weekly by our product managers to help guide the roadmap. We'll be sunsetting the AHA Ideas portal in favor of the forum moving forward. We've begun pushing out content on a weekly basis filled with tutorials, deep dives, and interviews of interest to the community. Some of the existing titles that we've already published are Upload Your First Object, End-to-End Encryption, Use Cases, and a QNAP demo. We also have a Git backup walkthrough and a Windows GUI tutorial that are going to be published very shortly. They're both great. And then coming up after that, we'll be having advanced access management techniques using macaroons and caveats, understanding payouts and the test plan, and of course, bindings and connectors, which is a big focus for us in 2020. I think this is a good point to give a shout out to some of our great partners. Influx, Mongo, and FileZilla, rClone have all been fantastic partners that we're doing really exciting work with, and we're very pleased to be sharing it with you, and we're very pleased about the connections that we have with each of these partners. So a super shout out to all of them. Thanks again for joining us this town hall. Please join our forum and join us again in 2 weeks for the Q&A session, which we're all looking forward to participating in. Thank you so much for listening. Your support is so important to us. We are so grateful and so appreciative of everything that you bring. And we will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, goodbye.